has been around for a long time in this industry, and I don't think people realize that. The goal is not to replace empathy, but it's to free up more time
Yeah.
for empathy. I think ChatGPT is probably the place to be. Use AI to inform, not to impersonate. You cannot ignore this anymore. Stop tinkering and start looking at it seriously. Companies that aren't doing this aren't going to survive.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Ankerpoint Vacation Rental Podcast. I'm Emma Thomas, and this is Jacob Hall, and he's our creative director here at Ankerpoint. And today we're going to be discussing the very hot topic of AI and how you can use it to optimize your vacation rental business. And with us today to help us discuss this, we have Heather Bayer. And if you've been in the vacation rental industry for any amount of time, you've probably heard of Heather. She has been a big name in the vacation rental industry for several years. She has done a lot of work with her vacation rental formula school and with her incredible podcast that I have become a big fan of, the Vacation Rental Success Podcast. She also recently co-hosted a skills lab on AI at the Verma conference this year and has created a group to help businesses learn more about AI. If you can't tell, we're very excited to have her on today. So welcome, Heather.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. You really covered you covered everything. Yeah, fresh off Verma, which
Yeah.
was excellent. Were you there?
No, we didn't get to go, but it sounded amazing. So
It
I
it
was
it was awesome. It really was.
How many people end up showing up at the Verma
I think
conferences?
with vendors, when you add the vendors in with the attendees, there's
Mhm.
probably about 2,000 people there,
Wow.
which is why it's usually Las Vegas or
Yeah.
Orlando or Nashville next year.
Yeah.
Um, but they've really upped their game on the education side
mm.
this year, and the education was just fantastic. We were very honored. We got an honorable mention for our AI skills lab, and I'm so excited about
That's
that.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it seemed like I was kind of reading up on it, and it seemed like an amazing skills lab.
It
So,
was very, very cool. I partnered with Bart Sobeys from iBooked Online. So he's an
Mm.
Australian, I'm a Brit Canadian. There we were in Las Vegas on a stage, and
Sounds like the
so
beginning of a
that
joke.
was cool. That was really cool to start with. But we were just doing the basics of AI, and I think because I think, eat, breathe, sleep AI at the
Mm.
moment.
Wow.
Every podcast I listen to is an AI podcast.
mhm.
I'm just a family geek, and I think I'll talk to people and I think everybody knows what I do, but
Yeah.
and then I find that no, we do have to go back to basics sometimes. And that's what we're going to talk about today, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm kind of curious. I kind of introduced you a little bit, but I'd also like to hear from your perspective, kind of how you got started in the vacation rental industry in general.
All right, you want the 10-second version or the half-hour version or the one in between? Because it goes back around 30 years. It was back in
Mm.
the 1990s. We started buying properties in Ontario, living in England, bought properties in Ontario, loved the area so much that we emigrated in 2003. And at that point, I looked at the how Ontario cottages were being marketed at that time, and there were some established cottage rental companies. And these were the days when guests were asked to leave everything as found. We
Wow.
Mm.
provide you with all the cleaning equipment. Make sure you scrub the toilets before you leave. And no linens were provided, and often because guests were asked to clean, that owners would not go in from the beginning of the season to the end of the season, from
Mhm.
end of
Wow.
June to September. So not really fair on the person who got the last booking of the year, because they had to hope that everybody had cleaned it well all the way through. But that was what it was in those days. I didn't like that way of doing things, so started a property management company, and we the first thing is I don't want my guests to be cleaning. And
Mhm.
that was a bit of a start of a movement. It took a lot of time to get owners to come over to this fact that, you've got to hire a cleaner. And it probably took about 10 years before we got everybody on board.
Wow.
But I had that company for 20 years and sold it in 2022. So since then,
Mm.
I've been in the education business. And this goes back to when I started out because there was no Facebook groups. There was Verma was, I think, holding conferences, but I didn't really know much about them. And everybody kept their knowledge to themselves. They didn't share it. Now we're in such a different world
Yeah.
where everybody is sharing everything. And if you ask a question, there's 100 helpful people to come along and help you out. But I never had that. So I started a blog in 2007 called Cottage Blogger, wrote a book called Renting for Profit, and then started the podcast in 2013. So here I
Yeah.
am today with a lot of experience, but learning new stuff every day myself.
That's incredible. Yeah, do you what was you kinda talked a little bit about it, but was that kinda your motivation in starting the podcast and your school too, just wanting to educate people?
It was because I found such difficulty in getting any information out of anybody.
Mm,
It was real struggle and challenge
Mm.
to figure out how all this worked. I didn't know what the three letters OTA stood for until
yeah.
about it wasn't that many years ago because I still didn't dare ask.
Yeah.
So yes, I wanted to get out and share everything that I learned um, along the way, and it just more and more learning over the years, and just more and more sharing, and that's where we are. We are now still sharing information, but bringing in people from just like you are with your podcast, with mine, just bringing in these crazy clever people who know this business inside and out. And with I mean, that's my sole purpose of the podcast. It's teaching me.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing being able to chat with people. We are just talking about that before we started recording, just the amazing things you learn from different people doing, different even slightly different things
Mm.
across the world that you can learn from and add to your own business. Um, like you said, you have over 30 years of experience in this industry, and you started alone without much help, and you paved a way for your own business. Um, I kind of want to let you give us a big picture view of when AI came into the scene. How did that change things for this industry?
um, for well, AI has been around for a long time in this industry, and I don't think people realize that. They think that AI started in 2022 and 2023 when ChatGPT appeared, so that was AI. But of course,
Mm,
it's been around. People were using things like Jasper and um, all sorts of other platforms before then, and machine learning had been in place for a lot of years beforehand. We had um, uh, key data and AirDNA. I remember talking with AirDNA a decade ago,
Mm,
um, about how it all worked to figure out how rates were changing. How they could incorporate all that data on rates in their area and help people to create some revenue management. That was all AI. It's just we didn't think about it like that. So now we sort of think it's a bit like it's a bit of an analogy here. Like there's a lot of people out there who think that vacation rentals only started in with Airbnb.
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
There was nothing before Airbnb, and they get a little bit taken aback when you say, "Well, actually, this it's a business that's hundreds of years old."
right.
And I think that's the same with AI. We think it started with ChatGPT, and it didn't. It's been going a long time. But I think now with the advent of ChatGPT, and then the pace, the absolute pace of change with AI output in
Mm,
terms of platforms,
yeah.
Mm,
um, that more and more companies and people and hosts and managers are are seeing what's out there and figuring out now that they've got to get into this. They can't just rely on the third parties to come along and give them a platform which has AI, which is, I'm air quoting, AI enabled, because I think everybody is should be AI enabled now. Um, but they can't rely just on those third party platforms. It's something that needs to be embedded throughout a business. So people need to
Mhm.
understand the basics, the foundations of what this is, because it's going to impact everybody.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not. I used to say over the next decade. Over the next week, it'll impact everybody. But I looked at a platform that I look at occasionally. It's called There's an AI for that. I don't know if you've
Mm.
come across this.
I haven't.
I've
Um,
heard of it, but it might have been from your podcast.
well, I just find it fascinating because they have a counter on There's an AI for that, and it's a website that has all the software that is currently available. And
So
and
cool.
it was only a month or so ago, there was about 38,000 apps available. I think there's now 42,000.
Oh my goodness.
So I think part of my mission really is to, because I'm a bright shiny things person. I love the bright shiny things and I jump on them, but I can't do it 42,000 times.
Right.
So I
Right.
see
Mhm.
my job, or the job of Vacation Rental Formula, is to do that analysis on what is important, what is going to still be here in 3 months, in 6 months, and I don't think we can say anything's going to still be here in a year.
Right.
But at least help hosts and managers look at it from a perspective of, this is going to change the way you do business, but you've got to do it in a very focused way. You can't just sit there tinkering with the
Mhm.
new bright shiny things that have come along. You've got to start being focused and have a direction as to where AI is going in your business.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know a lot of people who are very resistant to putting any sort of AI, incorporating any AI into their business because they're like, no, that's not. It's void of human connection. We're not going to do that. And then there's people who are just don't know what to do next. They're like, I think it would be helpful, but I don't know, where do I start. Like you said, I didn't know there was that many platforms. I guess I'm not surprised, but that's pretty crazy. If you could narrow down some thoughts for us, like if getting started, what's maybe a tool that you've used, that you'd recommend starting with?
Well, I think when I was at Verma last week, and the question I was asking a lot of people, a lot of property managers, was, how are you implementing AI into your
Mhm.
business? And the overwhelming response was, I'm tinkering, I'm playing
Mhm.
with this, I'm playing with that. We've tried ChatGPT and Perplexity and Claude and Grok and DeepSeek and others. I heard a lot of platforms I wasn't familiar with.
Mhm.
But I think the most important thing is that everybody in a business has goes with the same platform. So you don't have your cleaner using
Mm.
Grok and the reservationist using ChatGPT, and the founder has got another platform that they found recently that they're playing around with and
Mhm.
experimenting with. You need to choose your platform. I think that's the first thing. And it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, the top ones, you've got ChatGPT, has a good 70%
Hmm.
of the market right now. I
Yeah.
think
Wow.
ChatGPT is probably the place to be. Have a secondary one. So if you've got ChatGPT, maybe the secondary one should be Gemini, could
Mm.
be Claude and from Anthropic. But, the secondary one is always good. When ChatGPT 5 came in, a couple of months ago, it all went wonky for a couple of days, and you'd feed something in and get some really, really weird responses, or it wasn't picking up on memory. So it's always good to have, they're always gonna make these changes.
Yeah.
So always good to have that secondary platform and go for the big ones. OpenAI is massively funded.
Mhm.
That's not going to go away. That's OpenAI, which is ChatGPT.
Right.
That's not gonna go away anytime soon. Google Gemini, also not gonna go away anytime soon. So
Yeah.
while there's plenty of other platforms, LLMs around, I think for anybody who's certainly for smaller companies, it's worthwhile just saying, okay, across the board, we're all going to use ChatGPT, or we're all going to use Gemini, and we're going to use the paid version.
Mm.
That was
Mhm.
actually my next question because, well, first of all, why is it so important for everyone to use the same one? Are you able to connect the you're able to connect the, data that you put in with the rest of your team?
Well, if you let's say you're all using ChatGPT, you can ChatGPT Teams. Everybody's on the same
Mm,
platform. If it will use the same memory. So because ChatGPT memorizes what's gone before, there's a caveat to that. It only remembers up to a certain point. So
mm.
if you have a lot of if you have a lot of threads in ChatGPT, it may not remember what you did 3 days ago.
Mhm.
So that's
Okay.
always worthwhile. But there's a security aspect of it as well. For
Hmm.
having a paid version, is that you can set security features so it doesn't share what you're putting in there with the rest of the world and allow it to train on your data.
Right. Okay.
Mhm.
So that's a good reason, and certainly if you've got different people in the company using different platforms and they're not on paid versions, whatever they put in is being used in
Hmm.
some way or another to train that platform, because
Mm.
you pay for it in one way or another, where you either pay for it in money or you pay for it in the knowledge that you're freely giving it.
You're right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I probably should have known that before now, but, I am on the paid version, so we're safe, but that's good to know.
Another great part of ChatGPT, I think, is using GPTs, so that these separate little programs to stop all that repetitive work.
Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
can create a GPT for let me think of an example. Just a basic one, which is in marketing. You could have a GPT that creates landing pages
Hmm.
Mm.
for you. And the way you set up a GPT is give it instructions as to exactly how you want the output to be. So that's a prompt. And then you provide it with knowledge. And the knowledge would be the avatars of your business, ideal customer profiles. And then you give it your vision, your mission, your values. And
Hmm.
then you give it your brand voice. So it has all this knowledge of your business, so that every time you say, okay, I'd like, we've got Halloween coming up and I want a landing page for Halloween. And it's going to output everything that you want for that landing page. And then, of course, you go in and be the human in the loop and do the proofing
Right.
and spend that human time, because I don't believe, certainly for now, that AI is going to replace us. It's
Mhm.
augmenting us. It's hospitality is still the heartbeat of a company. AI is the nervous system.
That's
That's
a
such a great quote.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, I one thing that you mentioned is, you were talking about you mentioned prompts, and I know that that's something that I've heard you touch on, in your podcast, and what, I mean, that's such a broad topic, so I know that that's a whole other episode, but how like, what would you recommend for people to whether that's, like, resources or things, just how to learn how to write prompts for AI?
That is such a great topic, because y- 6 months ago you could still sign up for a 2-year university course on prompt engineering,
Mm.
and you spend a huge amount of money on this. But now the large language model is your prompt engineer.
Mm,
So that's, you can have a one line prompt. You wouldn't well, you would write a blog post for me about X.
mm.
That's what we used to do. But now we say, write me a prompt to create a blog post about this, and then you give
Wow.
it more information. And that
Hmm.
and then when you're asking it to write a prompt that has the role, what you want that what you want that blog post writer to be, what is a role, what's the context, and of
Mm,
course again you provide it with all the information, the background information. But yes, I think I learned that about 3 months ago. This whole ChatGPT is your prompt engineer. You don't
mhm,
need to go through all the courses. I mean, it's good to understand what the basics of a good prompt are. You need to tell it who it is. You need to give it the context. You need to give it some examples.
mm.
Um, and that's something you mentioned our community, which we've called Straight Chat, which is STR, short term rental AI technology chat. So, Straight Chat, within that, we talk a lot about creating prompts and how to do it and having that foundational knowledge and some different frameworks
Mm,
of how a good prompt should come out. But a prompt is not one line. My
mm.
prompts can go to 3 pages,
Oh, wow.
but I haven't sat and typed those 3 pages in.
Yeah.
I've asked ChatGPT to create 3 pages of prompt.
Wow.
That's
Yeah. I'm
amazing. I
learning
guess
so much. Yeah.
yeah. It's I guess in my mind, and I'm thinking of prompts and long prompts and because I knew that that was something that you needed. I was picturing somebody sitting there and just typing everything out, but it makes so much sense to just have AI do it for you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then once it's done the prompt, then you go through it
Mm,
and think,
mhm,
is this saying what I would if I sat down and wrote this myself, would I have said this? And sometimes, I'll tinker with a prompt. If it's a really important prompt, or if I'm writing instructions for a GPT, I'll spend half an hour going through and making sure that the
mm.
prompt is correct,
Yeah.
and that it reflects our brand voice and our values, etc.
Going along with that, we had a game that we thought could be kind of fun to play, and a lot of our questions actually relate to writing, with AI. So it's the perfect segue into that. But the game is called AI or No AI, and so we're gonna give you some scenarios, and then we would like you to give us your opinion on whether or not you would use AI or not in that scenario. So the first scenario is
This episode is sponsored by Brightside Short Term Rental Software. Do more, work less. Life is complicated. Your vacation rental software doesn't have to be. Let Brightside help reduce the stress in your life. Brightside eliminates painful double bookings. We list you on Google Vacation Rentals so you can receive more direct bookings. Keep more of your money and get your life back. Visit bookonthebrightside.com today to schedule your free demo. Brightside Short-Term Rental Software. Do more, work less.
um, analyzing customer data. So would you use AI or would you not in in that instance?
Oh yes, yeah.
Mhm.
Analyzing customer data. There's yeah. y- You don't actually need empathy for that.
Mhm.
Um, I've been using it recently for analyzing guest reviews, so summarizing. So
Mm,
we'd use it for downloading just maybe 200, 300 reviews, and then looking for summarizing those reviews and spotting trends.
Mm.
Um,
hmm,
Now replying to them, now that's different. Replying to the
mhm.
reviews, that's the human in the loop.
Mm.
That was actually another one of ours. It was actually the next one was handling, like, guest reviews and things, because that's something that I do at Ankerpoint is replying to our clients' reviews, and sometimes if there's a negative more negative comment or something, like, where does yeah, how can I use AI in that instance, or should I even?
Well, yeah, I think AI comes in very useful for negative reviews because I've never been one to handle conflict well. When I ran my company for 20 years, and I that was the one thing I hated was,
Mm.
I don't want to be going back to somebody who's got a negative review, whether it's on the phone or anyway, through email,
Mhm,
um, because I tend to have we all do, we have these knee jerk responses, don't we?
mhm,
Um, you think somebody's treating you unfairly with a negative review, and you're just tapping away and being defensive. And I think
Mhm.
AI comes in really, really handy to give you a draft of a response,
Mm. Mhm.
because it will you say, okay, here's this negative review, how should I reply without being defensive? And that's always a difficult thing. So yes, get it to draft the response,
Mm.
and then take that response and put that human touch on it and give it your own slant. But it's perfect for taking out that need to be defensive. And I was reading some reviews the other day from a company that they'd actually written on, as a response on Google. It's like, oh no, it's these long, long responses. If you'd let us know before you left that you had a
Yeah.
complaint, we could have dealt with it before. It's just, if you put that into AI and said, I want, I want a good balanced response to this,
Mm.
bearing in mind that this response is not really for this person, it's for the next person who's looking at my
Mm,
response.
mm.
Mhm.
And it will give you a much better version.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna
something that I always have to keep in mind, but it is having, like you said, having that human, the sinfulness inside us, and then and then having AI and using that is would be so helpful to do that.
Yeah, I think I just mentioned it, but I think it's always worth remembering that when you write a response to a review, it's not really for the benefit of
Mm.
that person. It's for the
Mhm.
benefit of the multitude of people who are reading your reviews, reading that negative one, and they're more concerned
So
about
good.
how you respond rather than, what the issue was.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I think, a small follow-up to that, because some people, uh, automate responses and they don't do anything with it, they just have AI respond almost immediately. Are you against that, tactic?
I don't think that is, wise at all,
Okay, okay.
because and if we're looking at blog posts, we're looking at articles, we're looking at everything these days, everything, and saying, is that AI generated or not?
Mhm.
So you've got to have. I mean, this is my personal viewpoint. It's very easy to have automated responses. Everybody's looking at it and saying, well, that's an automated response,
Mm.
so it has no benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides just
So,
maybe
I mean,
saving you
use
a
use
little
the
time.
AI to generate the ideas, and then follow it up with the human touch.
The next one kind of goes a little bit into writing and things. It's writing property descriptions. How do you feel about that?
I think AI is brilliant at writing property descriptions, but
Mm.
lots of caveats along the way here.
Right.
Whatever you're using has to know your brand voice. It has to know your values and your mission and
Mm.
what your company is all about. Otherwise, you just get the same bland, or what they call AI slop, is a
Mhm.
Right.
wonderful expression. And I think listings can head into the whole world of AI slop unless they are they are guided by your business information. So
Yeah.
you can't
Mm.
just say, here's a listing, make it better, because it needs some context.
Mm.
Mhm.
And one of the great things to do when you're writing a listing using AI is to upload reviews.
Hmm.
Upload a lot of reviews from happy guests, because they're telling you what they love.
Wow.
And that's what you need to have in your listing.
That's
Mm.
brilliant. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you've got 100 reviews, and one of the patterns or trends is that the guests love the amazing coffee maker, then you need to have that in the listing, because that's what
Hmm.
your ideal customer profile is going for.
Hmm. And you can just use something like ChatGPT or Notebook LM for something like that.
Oh, you mentioned Notebook LM. That is yeah, Notebook LM is my absolute favorite platform at the moment
No
for
way.
distilling information.
Hmm.
And I've just done this with a client recently. We downloaded 100 or so reviews. We created a video, we created an audio overview of it.
Hmm.
Um, and if you've not used Notebook LM, when you create the audio overview, it's two people who are almost as if they have read, well, they have. These people have read all those reviews, and they're just going to sit there and chat about what your guests love for
That's
15 to 20
so
minutes.
crazy.
Um, just the output is
Wow.
amazing, and it also produces mind maps and reports. I would use Notebook LM over anything else if you're going to start analyzing your reviews.
Wow.
Okay,
Does
yeah.
that go for customer data too?
Well, basically, Notebook LM will take in anything you want to give it, whether it's a PDF or some audio or a YouTube video that you found,
Mm,
Oh, cool.
or oh, it links directly into your Google Drive as well,
wow.
so you can pull documents off your drive, and then it will analyze, and it's only analyzing that information. And that's the beauty of Notebook LM, is that it's not hallucinating, because it's only
Mhm.
using the sources that you have given it. So if you give it
Wow.
garbage, it's going to give you garbage back out. So it's
Yeah.
but you've chosen the data.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I actually did it this morning with Notebook LM, and I put some YouTube videos in there, and I forgot where I was, and I said, "Can you adapt this to the short-term rental industry?" And it came back and said, "You haven't given me any information on that." But if you did that in ChatGPT, well, it would go out and find information on
Mm,
Right.
short-term rental. So
mhm,
that's the difference. But yeah,
mm.
I'm a huge advocate. So any more AI or no AI?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is another one that I'm curious about. So I also write blog posts. So what would you say with writing blog posts and also newsletters? Would you use AI for that or not?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely, but same old caveat that I was listening to a podcast this morning, with from Social Media Examiner. It's called AI Explored. It's another
Hmm.
great podcast, and the guest was Michael Hyatt, and he was talking about writing, and he's been a copywriter for years. I mean,
Wow.
he's been he leads entrepreneurs, and he's well. If you're an entrepreneur, you know of Michael Hyatt,
Yes.
and he said that he cannot now distinguish between
Wow.
the posts that come out of ChatGPT from those that he used to write himself, because he has trained his ChatGPT on his voice.
Hmm.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
So, that's not to say you don't check absolutely everything when that blog post comes out, but if you
Mm,
can train it on your voice, and that means giving it recordings of your voice, giving it all the blog posts you've written before. And then it's going
mhm.
to take that tone, the way you write, the length of your sentences, how how just how you format everything, and it will produce a blog post in your voice.
Wow.
And if it doesn't, you
That's
just
crazy.
need to give it more training.
Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
a GPT that can replicate Heather Bayer for us personally? Or just I'm asking for a friend.
We did an exercise, where, as Vacation Rental Formula, we're part of a organization called AI for Business,
Okay.
and it runs on Go High Level. It gives us, it's a CRM, but it's also this amazing knowledge base for learning AI. And as part of this, they give you 100 questions that you have to answer.
Mhm.
And this 100 questions takes you back to, childhood and what your motivations were, how you did at school. It really is very intense. And I spent nearly 2 hours answering these questions via audio. So it has
Hmm.
my voice. And then that is my Heather profile, if you like.
Wow.
So I can ask that for anything, and I can ask it. It's heard my voice because I've done it through audio. It's got my cadence. It's got my tone. It's got the way I write and the way I speak. And yeah, anybody can do
That's
that and create
very
their own.
interesting.
Wow,
Yeah. I've
that's
done something
crazy.
recently with, ChatGPT where I basically, process the day, with work, and I just say, you can do that little chat, and it'll respond to you with a voice. And I'm like, "I'm processing, the day, and I just need you to ask me some questions about this meeting I had." And it has all the information from the meeting. And so it can ask me questions to dig deeper into what I think about it and then make next steps. And so I'm in the car on the way home, and I'll just talk to talk to ChatGPT, and it's very helpful. It's a little sad sometimes, because I'm talking to a machine, but it's very helpful.
Do you know, I go out on a walk every single day. I do a 3-mile walk every day with my dog,
Good for
and
you.
I always start out with this, like, "I'm going to drop work. I'm not gonna do work. I'm gonna listen to fiction," or something like that, and just enjoy being outside. And then I'm sort of 10 minutes in, and I get an idea, and out comes the phone. "Hey, Lucy, how are you today?"
Yeah.
"Oh, Heather, I haven't spoken to you for ages. What's on your mind today?" "I've got this great idea." "Well, that's fantastic. Tell me your idea and I'll outline." And then for 40 minutes, for the next 40 minutes, I am chatting backwards and forwards in exactly that same way, Jacob, as
Oh,
and
that's
you
so
get
funny.
home and I get to my laptop and I go to ChatGPT and there it all is in
Yep,
text, all laid
That's
out.
exactly.
And then
crazy.
I say, "Can you now summarize that?"
And
But
it's
yes,
always so
Is
polite.
mine's Lucy. What's yours?
Maybe a British or an Australian guy, I don't remember
Ah.
his name.
Oh, you've got to give it a name.
Yeah, I do need to give it a name.
No, give it your, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, that's a good.
I have there's one of the regular contributors on the straight chat in the straight chat community calls
Mhm.
his Hal.
How?
Hal. I love that. How did you come up with the name Lucy? Was it just a random name?
Oh well, yeah. Short story. We adopted a dog from Egypt, and she came with the name Britta, but I always wanted to call her Lucy. Um, but apparently somebody said you can't have a big German Shepherd called Lucy.
That's
So,
actually that's so funny. My uncle actually owns a German Shepherd named Lucy.
oh
So
really?
Irony.
so you can do it.
You
You
can.
can.
There are a few more, things on that game, but I think maybe we'll ask just 1 or 2 more of those. A couple of them I'm really interested about, is answering the phone. Having vocal like what we just talked about, vocal AI respond, and answer the phone.
I know there's so many chatbots out there that will do that response. We know when we call somebody and we've got AI on the other end.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe one day it will be clever enough, but I think in our business, we are hospitality.
Yeah.
We are hospitality. When somebody calls and AI can't hear inflection in a voice. It
Mhm.
can't hear that somebody's upset or I mean, maybe it can. I don't know. I haven't spent much time in that because it's not something I'm really interested in.
mhm,
Um, I think if somebody's calling, they want a voice at the end. When I was running my property management business way back in, I guess maybe 2008, 2009, we wanted something that would stand us out from our competition. And we were calling our competition after hours and seeing what they said,
Hmm.
and every single one of them went to voicemail.
hmm,
Mhm.
And we said, "We'll never go to voicemail. We will always have a human at the end."
Mm.
And we hired a local call center that answered our calls, and
That's
they didn't
amazing.
have all the answers because there was a call center that dealt with, they were probably answering plumbing calls and septic overflow calls, as well as people in cottage, wanting a cottage rental. But it was a human, and
Mm.
yeah.
you can tell. I, I may be out on a limb here. I don't like the thought of a chatbot answering the phone.
I
Mm.
agree, yeah, I personally agree with that. This last one, for AI or no AI, modifying photos. We've seen this firsthand. Before I say anything, what is your opinion on modifying, like, rental photos of properties and
All
things like
right,
that?
rental photos. I mean, you're talking to the one that spent 2 hours yesterday on Nano Banana, which if people don't know what Nano Banana is, you can find it on Google's, Studio AI,
Okay.
and it's the best platform ever. Um, I created all my new, headshots with
Yeah.
an old headshot, and I said, "You can add a year or 2 on that," and put me in different places, put me in a coffee shop, put me at a desk, have me sitting on a rock by a waterfall, that sort of thing.
Wow.
That's
And
so
it was
cool.
that was fantastic, and, the output was amazing. Um, we've always had photo manipulation, ever since Photoshop.
Mhm.
So the places where I would use it, we used to go out and take photos of properties, and I was always bad at it. My business partner was fantastic, but I was pretty awful. And I'd come back and he'd say, "There's a dog food bowl in the corner of the kitchen," or "You didn't see that beer bottle."
Right.
And that's where it is fantastic, because I remember playing with Lightroom and Photoshop and trying
Mm.
to remove these things. Or, let's put the toilet seat. Why didn't you put the toilet seat down?
Right.
Now AI can do that, and putting the toilet seat down, putting an umbrella up.
Mm.
Because
Mm.
who wants to see a photo of a really beautiful patio and a pool and the umbrella is down?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But you can use AI to put the umbrella up.
Mm.
But when it comes to, really manipulating colors,
Mm.
things have got to look natural. But I don't see any problem if you're going to. Who, how many of us go out and take photos? We've got a photo shoot organized, and it's a really crappy weather day.
Right. Yeah.
You want better weather.
Yeah.
So yeah, manipulate that and put some better weather in there. That's absolutely fine. Um, Putting things in that aren't there, no, that's not fine.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
making old furniture look new, no, that's not okay. But stuff and I think maybe a yardstick is stuff that you would have done on Photoshop 2 or 3 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, to enhance a photo, fair
Mhm.
game.
Yeah.
But manipulating it to change it to something that's not actually real, not good.
Right. Yeah. I completely agree. I think that's, we've had, interesting conversations about that because, I mean, obviously, you don't want, um maybe your cabin's right next to another cabin or a property, and you're like, "Oh, that's annoying." It doesn't mean you erase it and put trees instead. That would be dishonest.
Yeah, I've got a story to tell on that one.
Yes, please
We
do.
had a beautiful property on a lake, but it was a tiny little one. Um, but it rented really, really well. And then the old cabin next door to it was torn down, and it was
Mm.
replaced with this 7-bedroom mansion.
Mm. Oh my
And it was
goodness.
right next door.
Ah,
And we put a photo on the website with showing. We didn't show the whole thing, but we showed that there was clearly a property next door to it, and it was quite big. And the owner went ballistic.
uh-oh.
Nobody's going to rent my place now because they're going to see there's this big property next door. And we said that is just not acceptable.
Yeah.
You've got to show it, as they're going to see it when they arrive, or else we're going to be the ones at the end of the phone
Right. Yeah.
when the
Mhm.
guest arrives and says, "You didn't tell me about this huge place." If somebody's going to rent it, if they like it enough, they need and they see there's a big house next door, you're going to have a much happier customer.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yes, we eventually lost that owner because
Mm.
he wanted manipulated photos and we refused.
Honesty is the best policy.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I wanted to ask, we had a few questions about the human, like the hospitality side of of things. And um, just from our conversation so far, AI can definitely play a part in that and
Mhm.
helping you. Because I think we've had conversations with other people who feel that AI sucks the humanity out of hospitality. Um, I guess what is your I think you would disagree with that. What is your rebuttal to that mindset?
Well, if you look at it, the AI can handle, let's say, 80% of routine tasks that don't involve guests and they don't involve owners, from a face to face, or from that close, in those close encounters. But they can take up 80% of the routine tasks that go on behind the scenes,
Yeah,
and then you can focus on the 20% that creates those memorable experiences for them. I think, the goal is not to replace empathy, but it's to free up more time
yeah,
for empathy. It will
Mhm.
give people way more time to be creative as to how, on the guest experience. They can create better guest experiences because they've got more time to do it. Um, use AI to inform, not to impersonate.
yeah.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
yes, I think it's, um, I absolutely love it because it has freed up so much more of my time to do what I love to do best, which is, I love to get on a consultancy call and talk to, owners and managers about how they can incorporate more AI into their business. But I wouldn't
Mhm.
have in that luxury of that time if I was having to do all the routine stuff at the back end, which I used to do, which was compiling the notes from
Mm,
conversations,
mhm.
Mhm.
summarizing them, creating action points. I mean, for me, it's, and I think I'm in a hospitality business too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Now,
Yeah.
even though I'm not renting out properties anymore, but if
Mhm.
I had my, if I was back in my business, there are so many parts of the business that would now be run by AI,
hmm,
and it would not impact the hospitality one bit. But if you're going to do, just automate every response you send to a guest. So if a guest asked a question and it's just an automated response without even thinking about what was in that original inquiry and maybe what was behind the question in the first place, then you're going in the wrong direction.
right.
But if you're
Mhm.
using the AI to augment your hospitality, then that's the way to go.
I
That's
like
so
the way
good.
that you put that. I think it it's not replacing hospitality. It's letting it frees you up to do what you can only do. And I think a lot of people feel still hesitant to use AI and things, and they think it's taking up jobs that they should be doing. But I mean, if you think about it, do you really want to analyze all the data? Do you really want to,
Yeah.
like, or do you want to spend the time actually making the connections, building relationships, making sure people have an amazing time?
Hmm.
And I think at the core, that is the heart of it, or it should be the heart of it. And
Mhm.
yeah, good point. I think this helps you in that for sure.
Yeah, I think that's such a great way to look at it, and it just enables hospitality more than it takes away from
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
exactly,
I love that.
exactly.
So kind of looking forward a little bit, AI obviously it's changes so quickly. We were been talking about AI just off and on for a few months, and even in that short period of time, it's completely changed. Like you said, ChatGPT 5 came out and all these things. So how do you stay up to date without getting overwhelmed by everything?
Um, I think I set some boundaries for
Hmm.
myself. I have a couple of podcasts that I listen to regularly and a couple of newsletters. Because
Mm,
if you do everything, then, it's the bright shiny object syndrome thing.
yeah.
You're just going to it will just be overwhelming. Um, I stay connected with other AI enthusiasts. I'm off to Las Vegas again,
That's
in a
awesome.
week and a half for a 4-day AI for Business conference.
Oh wow.
So, that's my little drug of choice. I think I heard that from Michael Hyatt this morning, and he said it is the strongest drug I've ever taken is AI. He said because you become addicted to it. But the other thing to I remember is I don't need to know everything. I need to know what's possible.
Mm.
I listen to specific podcasts that I absolutely love, and they give me the information I want. But I take the transcripts into ChatGPT and I get summaries, or I take them
Oh,
into
wow.
Notebook
Mm.
LM and
Yep.
just get summaries and action points from them. So I
Mm.
What
just ask it, give me the key points and then tell me what I can take and use in my business.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Did what are those, podcasts and newsletters that you
So I listen to AI Explored, which
okay.
Okay.
is Michael Stelzner's from Social Media Examiner. I listen to Jordan Wilson, and that is my key one. He does a podcast every single day.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
It's called Everyday AI. Those are the two. There's a couple of newsletters. One is called Superhuman, um, and then I can't remember the name of the other one, but I can give that to you if you want to put it in your show notes.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
great, and I think I'll add one in there. There's this podcast, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called, the Vacation Rental Success Podcast. We'll throw that one in there as well.
Ah, thank you very much. We are leaning a lot towards AI at the moment.
Yes, yeah.
And then of course we are launching. Can I talk about this now? Can I talk about my
Yes.
the AI ambassador program?
Absolutely,
We
yeah.
would love that.
Well, we figure that it's I talked to property managers who said, I've sent people on courses. I've sent them on university courses, or they're doing these online courses, but they're out of date
Mhm.
almost by the time they graduate. So what we decided we needed to do was to get into companies or help companies to invest in having somebody in that company who is their AI champion.
Hmm,
So it's that one person who goes out and does, let's say, what I do, and listens to the podcasts and
Mm.
reads the newsletters and distills all that information, and then they spread it out within their team. So they become
Wow.
the AI ambassador in their business,
hmm,
Hmm.
and they are able to evaluate new products. So they evaluate some of the third-party SaaS products that we see at VRMA, but these are the ones that evaluate them and then make the proposals for whether they're going to work for the company or not. They also they also do an audit of what's everybody using, and they are the ones that then um, suggest just the one platform to
Mm.
use. And then they also go out and train everybody. So we are teaching that one person,
That's
or
so
maybe
cool.
two, or maybe a team. It doesn't really matter.
Mm.
But with a 6-week course of workshops and group coaching over a year, and lots of online resources, and we're launching that in. It will start in January, but through the month of December, we're going to for those who are registering, we'll be doing workshops through the month of December as well to get them ready for it.
Oh, that's so
That's
exciting.
amazing.
That's awesome.
I'm excited about this because it's not about saying I'm going to train you on ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or whatever. That's
Mhm.
worthless because whatever you train is out of date the next day. But it's about instilling a culture of AI adoption
Mm.
Yeah.
within a company, because it's the companies that aren't doing this aren't going to survive. They'll end up with, in a year's time, they're not going to survive in the AI world. I mean,
Mm.
in AI adoption, because in a year's time, they're going to be overtaken by those that have adopted it and are using it daily in their businesses in a very structured and cohesive way.
Mm.
That's such a good way to think about it. I think of Michael Hyatt. You mentioned him because, his book, Free to Focus,
Mhm.
there's so many books on specific ways to do things and tools that you can use right now, and those become outdated so fast. But he says, giving a way to think about focus, no matter
Mhm.
what type of tool that you use. I do use a lot of his tools, but like that idea that you're doing with you're training people on how to, no matter what tool they use or what ChatGPT or whatever it is, how to sustain that business
Mhm.
with long term. So that's such a cool. How long have you been working on releasing this?
We've been working on this for about 4 or 5 months. We have a program called Thrive, which stands for Trust, Responsibility, and Hospitality in a Vibrant Environment. So those are
Mm,
our values.
Mhm.
So this course sits on top of those Thrive values. So we always have, whenever we're talking about AI, we're thinking about trust. We're thinking about all the responsibilities that you have as a manager.
Mm,
Um, we're thinking all the time about hospitality, but also that vibrant environment. It's about team.
mm.
So how the team connects on the AI level. So everybody's, and I hate using the expression singing from the same hymn sheet, but I can never think of a better one. You're all doing the same thing and being consistent about it. And then we also have our straight chat community, which is small, but it's going to be mighty. So we're encouraging anybody to come join Straight Chat. We have weekly office hours where my business partner Mike get on a call with anybody who comes along, and we just talk AI.
that is really
It's
cool.
amazing.
How does one join that? How do you find that?
Um, I'll give you the link
Okay.
to the page about the community. At the moment, which we are charging, it's $9 a month, which which
Hey,
I
that's
think
pretty good.
Good
is not a
deal.
huge amount. That's
No.
$9 a month for the first 100 members, and we're up to about 30 now.
Okay.
So there's
That's
plenty
awesome.
of scope to get in at that. After that, it's going to go up, but that nine, if you get in at $9 a month, it's staying there forever.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, that's awesome. We have literally hit an hour just now, so I don't want to take up any more of your time. But is there anything that we didn't ask you, but you wanted to express or share? Anything you're working on beyond what I mean, you're already working on a lot of stuff. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
working on a lot of things at the moment, but all to build up the AI ambassador course, really.
yeah.
Mm,
And by the way, that is we're doing a certificate program, so there is work involved. There are assignments,
Yeah.
but there will be a certificate in you'll get an AI ambassador certificate at the end of it. Yeah, my closing would simply be you cannot ignore this anymore
mhm,
and stop playing with it. Stop tinkering and start looking at it seriously and make it part of your organization and not parts. If you
mhm,
if that makes sense.
It does.
Not lots of separate parts. Let's make it just a one flowing thing that's everybody's adopted
Hmm.
within the organization.
Thank you so much, Heather. Um,
it's amazing.
we really, really value the opportunity to talk with you. It's been so awesome, and if anyone listening needs to wants to look more into what Heather's doing, we'll have all of the links for the ambassador program, for her podcast, and everything else that she's working on, so that you can easily get connected with her. But again, Heather, we're just very, very grateful for the opportunity to chat with you.
It's been
Yeah.
great talking to you both. Really, I mean, this is not really a podcast interview. It's like we could just be sitting around a table in
Yeah.
Burma.
Well, yeah.
Exactly.